It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. None of those risks have been seen, at least not by anyone who still remains alive. None of those risks have been seen, at least not by anyone who still remains alive.
brain treatment was given to you. You are a robot, that's all you are. Better not change your mind. You just better not.
10,
Better not change your mind. You just better
8,
not.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to Tangents, the only show on the internet. And because we weren't here 2 weeks ago, the internet was an empty, boring place.
Yep.
I was empty. I was bored.
Yeah,
I was in a place.
Yeah, so there you go. It was and we use the internet. So yeah, we speak from experience. We are experts in this manner. Anyway, I'm Andrew. I'm in beautiful, sunny Cleveland, Ohio. With me tonight, as always, is our wonderful co-hosts, Christoph from the bloody streets of New York. We have,
Pennsylvania.
yes, Jeff in his underground lair located miles below the Earth's surface. And towering over the streets of Chicago, where Adderall is sold on the streets daily, is Justin. How is everybody? Christoph, what's new in your world?
I just DJ'd at Apex East in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
It's a Mad Max themed apocalyptic festival.
Wow.
That's always fun. It's similar to Wasteland Weekend, but instead of having 2,000 to 5,000 people there, it's 30 to 75 people.
Okay, much more chill.
But yeah. So it happens at it's like on an old farm, and it's a cool location, big sound system. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. I'm glad you had a good time.
Thank you.
Yes. What's going on in your world there, Jeff?
Just chilling here down below the world.
Cool.
in the cave. Let's see, what is going on? I finished off completely the Ghostron EP, and that was very exciting.
Woo!
And I'm pumped that that's going out on X on June the 10th.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So that's done. And then I think I've basically got everything set up down here now, which is neat. I don't think it's visible. Jaspers does cool attachments for things. Mm-hmm. And I got a laptop stand that Jaspers makes that I've got the Square pay packs on now, so it's a lot more like usable than it was before.
Good.
So that's exciting.
And I'm sure
That's
that
it.
their
Just
firmware
kinda-
update probably also makes it a little bit more usable as well.
Yeah, the firmware update is good. They did another one. They did one yesterday and one a week ago as well. And now it both counts in when you hit record like it was supposed to. They had that, then they removed that just to keep people on their toes. And it also now tempo syncs to the DAW for recording. So
Awesome.
It's basically perfect, and everybody should have two.
There you go. So buy it today. You also changed up how your Tuesday night streams are.
I did, yeah. So I did a highly scientific survey on Instagram, and I said, hey, people, it seems like there's not a lot of traction on this DJ stream, which is fine. Like, I get it. There's a lot of really good DJ streams. A lot of them are better than mine was. And so I said, what would y'all be into? Do you want me to keep doing the DJ stream? Should I just do some live stuff from the studio? We could talk about gear. We could play some music. People said, yeah, do that one. So I tried that, and that's been pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'll drop a link here in chat for everybody who is there. I made last night, one of the things that we did on stream was we made a sample kit of the Behringer 909 clone, mm-hmm. and it sounds pretty good. So this is actually that into the SP or the S2400. So it's like a 12-bit 909 kit that I made, and it's like a pretty deeply sampled thing. It's like 51 samples. So There's a link. Have fun.
Sweet, thanks.
Nice.
Hey Wambra, our evening just got hotter as well because you are here. And you're radioactive, so that helps. Well, awesome, Jeff. I'm glad that the new stream's working out well. Thank you for the samples there. Justin, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. In terms of activities, always noodling around in here, trying to make things better, put up some panels. Trying to think. Adam Boos is currently mastering the Low Life single for Subsoma. And waiting for you too, but we'll see what happens first here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And it's fine, dude. I don't care. I'm not in a hurry. I just wanted to I had an idea, and I'm like, I gotta get this out because I'm not releasing stuff. I'm also trying to go to, like I think I mentioned before, like this model where I try to release smaller things more often, because these it's kind of the model that people are following, and it's also like for me, keeps me sort of motivated to keep moving. When you start. It's like when you're working on the great American novel, right? And it's like, it's going to take me 14 years, It's
or the next, like, Game of Thrones book.
Yeah. So, that being said, because all projects at Ix now have to have Ghost on the title, the infamous Ghost Terminal project is sort of John Carpenter-esque thing I'm working on. Started more from an EP into an LP, and now I'm deeply involved in that. So.
Well, very cool. That's awesome. I'm glad. I apologize between getting the Rona and everything else in life. I did not get a chance to work on the remix. But I do have it on my list of things to do.
No worries, man. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Yes, I got the coronavirus last week. That was exciting. And by that, I meant it was boring as shit. But I'm clear of it now, and everything is great. As far as that's concerned, Adam Boos is also mastering the Hermit album as well. Nice. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing what he does with that. I sent him some reference music and stuff like that, as far as mastering, EQing and stuff like that is concerned. Then I need to get my buddy Mr. Labhart going on the art for the cover and stuff like that. And I've been busy getting things together for Ghostron, which Jeff has joined the Ix Studios family of artists, and will be releasing his EP in June, which we're excited as hell about. So that'll be cool. So more of our friends that we get to whore out. So when Christoph's ready to let us whore him out, then we're gonna do that probably too. And once Robin's ready for that too, we'll have everybody. Eventually, all of our friends will be releasing all their music. It'll be a good time.
What's the ETA on the Hermit stuff?
I don't have a date on it yet, just because I need to once it's mastered, I need to get Labhart into working on the cover art, because I'm getting very particular about how I want that to look, as well as some ads, some ad style stuff and everything like that for it as well. I kind of want to have there's some weird ideas in my head as far as how I want things to appear and everything like that. So, but he understands what the image I'm going for and everything like that.
So I don't want to give anything away, but both of you guys, kudos, really good stuff.
Thank you.
I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, two very different sounding releases, but it'll be really cool. And then of course the new stuff coming off of Subsoma as well is fantastic too.
Oh, yes. Thank you. When do we get Coleman back, man? To see you.
I know he's been very busy with the kiddo and everything like that.
Sure.
He's just started getting back into doing some streaming again and stuff, and he was rewiring a lot of his equipment and everything. And I think he's about to go and buy a Syntact as well, but I'm not entirely sure. So, but
horrors will have their
yes. So I also picked up a Syntact. We'll talk about those in a little bit as well.
I just read that Syntact cures coronavirus. Is that true?
Well, mine came 2 days after I got cleared, so it might have, maybe the ordering aspect of it is what cured me.
Yeah, that's probably
I think so. So yeah, other than that, just noodling a lot down here as well, and heading out to LA this weekend just for a quick trip, and that's the excitement of my life. But we have more exciting stuff than just what we're up to. First of all, we have a fantastic audience over on twitch.tv/IX Studios Cleveland. If you are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, come join the conversation over here. A lot of folks already on there. Wambra, SynthLab, Zen Linux, all you cats out there. Thanks for coming and joining us this evening. 302 Dave, my favorite Danes, Ding KTRL, which, yeah, that flows off the tongue. Motherfuckers. And yeah, so come join us. Join the conversation. We have a lot of news to cover. So much news because we took 2 weeks off so I could selfishly stream music. That we're probably going to be condensing some of this stuff and blow through it, so to speak. So
Perhaps less tangents.
maybe not. We'll see. I don't want to make us not do what the name of this show is. So we're going to jump right in here. More news from everyone's favorite bad toupee, BT. We heard the last show we discussed his Tails, the reverb, which I picked up and is as fantastic as they say it is. So good job on that, Mr. BT. I think it stands for Bill Tillman, I think is his name. Bob Tellyho, bad toupee.
I just BitTorrent comes to mind for me.
BitTorrent, yeah. Maybe it's Bill Torrent.
I think his name is Brian Tranzo or something like that.
Bruce Taintmouth. I don't know.
Now we're getting into some libel lawsuits.
You give me initials, I just put whatever I want to in there. Anyway, he got together with Spitfire Audio and came out with a rather amazing plugin called Polaris. And it's basically an orchestra emulating string machines.
Yeah.
And it sounds really, really beautiful. I'm not gonna get the $269, $349 plugin. I don't think it's because I love strings. Don't get me wrong. They sound beautiful. This thing sounds beautiful. I just can't afford that right now. So someone wants to buy it for me. I heard curious for coronavirus. So buy it for Christoph too. But yeah, this sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I had to read this thing like a couple times because I'm like, wait, what are you again? And it's like the idea is so novel. Yeah. It's cool. The fact that they sampled it in some of these old school hardware samplers.
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty brilliant. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Spitfire Audio is amazing. I mean, everything, like I just have like their free stuff, and like they did the BPC Orchestra plugin, which I use a lot of now for strings and stuff like that. And then they had those other weird things where it's like we sampled the sounds of things in a swimming pool and like that kind of stuff, and they all sound really good.
Oh yeah, the swimming pool thing. Mm-hmm. Was that like
yeah?
Yeah, the swimming pools without water, right? For clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the pool, not the swimming. Yeah. And this one sounds really good. It's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up. It's Brian Wayne Tranzo.
Ah.
I think you should have just gone with Wayne, just like Kanye, just
or
Wayne.
Little.
Yeah, there's a confusion.
Yeah, or like
medium
fancy
Wayne.
hair Wayne.
Medium Wayne.
I like medium Wayne.
So,
perfectly adequate Wayne.
Jeff, have you read any of the Terry Pratchett novels? Because he did the Discworld series. Anyway, there's literally a character called Medium Dave, and that's why I thought.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah.
But I think medium Wayne is very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. Buy it if you have the money and you like it. Otherwise, don't.
If you want it and can afford it, and decide you want it more than something else, you should purchase it.
Exactly.
And not if you don't. It's a good model.
And if you have enough money, you can buy the next thing we were going to jump into next, which is the Colossus Double by Analog Solutions.
Jeez.
If you can't get enough of the Colossus,
Do you know how much I fucking want this thing? I want it so bad.
Why do you want it all?
I don't know. It's probably as a kid watching bad British sci-fi. There's something about it. I just really want this thing. It's delicious.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember watching The Bionic Man, and I wanted to be Rudy Wells because he was a scientist that got to use this machine with all the blinky lights and buttons, and that's what the Colossus is.
yes.
And it's just so large. How can you not feel like you either have Colossus from the Forbin Project or the Colossus Codebreaker from World War
Yep.
II?
Right?
Yeah. So like when I was a wee lad, my dad's hobby was electronics, and he was a ham radio operator. He would literally make printed circuit boards in the garage and shit like that. And so while some kids were raised with parents that were like dads or parents were woodworkers or alcoholics or whatever, my dad was an electronics dude.
And alcohol.
And so the Colossus looks like the garage that I was raised in. I see the oscilloscope there. I see like all this other insane weird shit. And like, I learned how to solder before I knew how to read, kind of thing. So it was just, this is kind of what that looks like to me. So I see this and I can almost smell the smell of, like tubes with dust on them being turned on, and like World War II Army surplus radios and stuff. So yeah. What's this thing going for?
25
grand.
Oh no, it's got to be more than that.
I swear. Well, maybe it was pounds.
Okay, so it's going for 26,500. The Colossus Classic is going for 26,500 pounds.
Yeah, this one's like 50.
The Slim is 23,500, and so what this thing is basically it's both of those put together.
Oh, good lord.
So
yeah, it's like
COVID.
Yeah, you're right, Jeff. I mean, it's pushing 50. I'd have to do the pound conversion, but yeah, that's friggin' crazy.
It's if you want that in freedom units, that's 63,080 freedom units.
Or 300,000 Quatlus on the newcomer.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
how about Republic credits?
59,000 euros, 8 million yen.
How many space credits is that? That's what I need to know.
7 trillion lira.
How much
7 trillion
how much press
lira.
latinum is this thing going to be?
Press latinum.
7,000 press latinum.
Goddamn Ferengi is buying all the cool
How many
suits.
Solaris is this going to cost if we're talking Padishah Emperor currency?
Oh, you guys are fucking killing me today.
I mean, none. The Ferengi don't need this. They've got the holodeck.
That's true.
That's
You
true.
just load it up on the holodeck and it's free.
Yeah,
the
your
replicator.
holodeck is a much better proposition.
Yeah.
I wonder if the replicator could make one of these.
I mean, it makes
Computer.
tea Earl Grey hot, so maybe it'll make.
Oh, I almost forgot, Andrew. I forgot to wish you May the 4th.
Oh, and also with you.
Always.
Yes, make sure to check out the new Obi-Wan trailer on YouTube. It looks exciting.
Yeah, I just started watching that Boba Fett thing on Disney Plus, and yeah, I know I was a little disappointed. It's still I can't do that. I'll watch
that. The Obi-Wan series will only be 6 episodes.
Yes, but it'll be exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I finally got one. Well, I shouldn't admit this on video. No. Let's just say I have access to Disney Plus now.
Oh, congratulations!
So now I'm watching all the back catalog of cool Star Wars.
Very good. Make sure to watch The World According to Jeff Goldblum as well.
That show is wacky.
Yes, as he stumbles his way through
cool.
eating ice cream in tennis shoes.
I watched the sneakers one or the trainers. That was fascinating. Yeah, I love Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yeah, the one where he talks about
fun,
tattoos and he goes to Pittsburgh on Jeff Goldblum Day and like helps people get Jeff Goldblum tattoos is pretty amazing.
He's from Pittsburgh. So yeah, I mean he'll always be Brundlefly to me, but yeah, I love him.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
So yeah, the Colossus double. If you've got that money smoking laying around, you could buy that, or you could buy all of your friends a copy of the Polaris VST. You can buy all of us a copy of it.
I could buy all my friends a copy of the Polaris VST and still have $63,000 left.
Exactly.
Either Polaris is very expensive, you don't have a lot of friends, or both. I don't know, Jeff. But either way, it's totally mental. This thing is, I don't even know who's going to buy this thing. I'm sure like some crazy, extremely rich British rock star will buy it or something.
Yeah.
Nerds are going to buy it.
Standard
I
nerds.
wind up at Peter Gabriel's studio.
Yeah, I know Jack Dangers has like that, was it the Synthy?
Yep.
Which of equally ridiculous size.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is kind of adjacent to that. It's not a recreation of it, but I think it's definitely inspired by.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Colossus is probably playable as an instrument.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Or if anything, you can always like use it to answer telephone calls at like large department stores.
Yeah.
In the
It does
1960s.
look like a switchboard, yeah.
Just imagine people sampling the Colossus into like Ableton, and I think it's like, "Meow," and they've sampled it, and they're like, yes.
Perfect.
And they're just playing it back at Ableton
So it's
sampler.
like Bill Lieb sampling his mini Moog for his bass lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that like last Saturday was Analog Haven Midwest. I couldn't make it because of the Rona. But I saw some pictures from it, and it looked like it was a great time. So basically, Analog Haven Midwest is a synthesizer show and tell that takes place in a high school library in bumfuck Indiana. Justin and I went a couple years ago and had a surprisingly fun time.
It's fucking great. It's totally surreal going into like a high school in the middle of the Midwest, and it's like immediately all these horrible memories came crushed. Right, you're rushing back to me. And then you walk into this library and there's nothing but cool synths and frickin' synth nerds and
In the Magic School Bus.
Yeah, pretty much. And you just spend the day like playing like some like there's like, you know, some guy with like a 4 voice and, you know, that kind of stuff, and they're like busting out soldering irons and fixing shit and modifying things while they're hanging out and just chit-chatting, and it was just
it's cool because it's a wide variety. The guy with the Mellotron unit, which I always kind of wanted to play with to see what it sounded like, and and then there's people of various vintages, right? There's the guy that had all the JX3Ps. Or the JXS, I forget which one they were, but there's in person they're surprisingly huge, like giant wedges with these membrane panels, and they're like.
But yeah, it was fun. Since Leb says I bring my modular to my school for the science class to learn about waveforms. Yeah, exactly. Totally. That's awesome. So anyway, next piece of news: Native Instruments is part of Soundwide. That's a new thing. They those are the same people that are running Plugin Alliance and Brainworks and SoundStacks, which is a new company, and they've kind of started like putting out stuff. Some free plugins to celebrate. They have a lot of like, all kinds of crazy shit going on as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like some sort of corporate marketeering. I'm not sure. I mean, is this just what I read? This almost like a press release, like, hey, we're still cool. Don't hate us. We're not some.
We're still not updating
giant...
Tractor.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Because they're like, yeah, here are the artists that use us, and it's okay because we still have only 600 employees, and don't hate us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like NI. I recognize their limitations, but I like them, and I like Isotope quite a bit. So I wish them all the best of luck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm an Isotope fan. They're good.
Yeah, I like Isotope a lot. I don't have much Native Instruments stuff outside of Tractor.
I used to have a bunch of Native Instruments stuff, and then they did this really cool thing where they said you can't authorize the stuff that you bought. And I said, excuse me, that seems weird. I did buy it. And they're like, well, yeah, see, the thing is we've updated it and you didn't buy the update. And I said, yeah, that's correct. I'd like to authorize version whatever, 4 or whatever I had. And they're like, yeah, no, see, the thing is we updated it and you didn't buy the update to it. And so the one that you've got's not going to authorize anymore. That's how that works. And I said, oh, well, you should cram that up your ass. And that's... And that's the last thing the Native Instruments and I've had to do with one another.
Yeah. That is some BS. I will say other companies
run into that problem because I think you were running Complete 11.
I can't remember. It might have been 9.
All right, because the last version I got, I think, was 11. I'm 2 versions behind at least.
Oh yeah, I was pretty far behind, but I was not gonna do that. I don't want the upgrade. I wanted the one that I had. The one that I had was just fine.
Exactly, and I feel the same way. I've been using reactors since version 1.
Yeah.
That brings a larger question about sort of like planned obsolescence with software, because Arturia and UVI, I would say, are both pretty decent at supporting older versions of stuff. Obviously, it doesn't go back forever. But, yeah, I mean, software is really fucking ephemeral, unfortunately.
Yeah. It could be that... you needed a newer version to run on your version of Mac OS.
Yeah.
I'm running an old version of Windows. If I upgrade to Windows 11, it's likely that much of my software won't run anymore.
Oh no, it actually wasn't. Mine wasn't OS related at all. Mine was just that I had to reformat the computer. It was the same. It was the same version. I just had to clear it back out. It was not great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Womber says this issue comes up every show, but never the same company.
Yeah, it's funny. There's actually a lot of companies that really like exploiting people, it turns out.
Yeah, weird. It's like they want to make money all the time.
Yeah.
Or they fuel people to go back to hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you want piracy? Because that's how you get piracy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true.
Not that we're advocating piracy. Arr.
No, I'm just saying that there's a cause and effect. I didn't even bother to pirate it because at this point, F them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just went all
Yeah.
I just said, F them, I'm out.
Done. Oh. So there you go. Congratulations, Native Instruments, on becoming a larger conglomerate than you were before. Next piece of news here. There's a link to a YouTube video where you get to watch Tom Oberheim, Tony Kravatis, Dave Smith, and Marcus Ryle take shots of tequila.
So WTF with this?
Enjoy that.
I watched it. I mean, okay, I guess it's like Oberheim's back,
Right.
Which
Yeah.
I'd write about that a bit before, but I mean, he's kind of an old dude, so I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. I think last year I falsely predicted that they would release an Oberheim clone, like an actual like OBXA clone, to sort of to kick Behringer in the arse, but they never did that, unfortunately. So, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what this actually means. Whether, because I mean, the thing with Oberheim is he seems to be like his 2 voice, and I don't think he re-released the 4, but these are really small. These are garage operations, I think. Whereas I think Dave Smith, now that he's part of what's
Innovation.
it?
Innovation.
No, yeah. I mean, even before that, he had more resources, and that's why I think the OB6 was a good effort for him. But I love Oberheim. I hope he does something cool with this.
I think the real thing is just that he has the full use of his name back, and he's celebrating that his company is back, and he'll be able to release products under his name, because it was sold to Gibson, and then Music Tribe had trademarked it, in other countries, and somebody spoke to Behringer at a trade show, and they decided to do the right thing, and they just gave him back the rights to his name.
Oh, okay. I think you might have mentioned that before, Christoph. Well, if that's all this is, then I guess great. But I mean, now that you have it, release stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I think he's going to. It sounds like they're working on something.
Yeah, for sure.
If they are working on something and it's using an ARM F7 processor, they can't get it.
Yeah.
And a lot of things use these processors to run your MIDI and all that. So
Yeah.
They could be waiting on parts just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that the little ARM embedded sort of OS stuff is is what's killing everybody.
It's true. It's true. Well, we'll find out. I mean, if they release anything soon, it'll probably be, next week with Super Booth.
Yeah.
Which is cool because then that means 2 weeks from now we'll have our 1 week late Super Booth Roundup show.
Nice.
So you
Yeah.
can
We'll just wait to see what everybody's interested
we'll see.
in, and then we'll only talk about
exactly.
those.
So like when Super Booth happens, folks, just let us know, through the Golden Shrimp Guild, or wherever. Shoot us messages here on Twitch, and let us know the things you're interested in and you want to hear us complain about, and we'll be there for you.
And it
tell
takes
you
us
what.
time for these companies to send us their sense for us to demo and then talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or for Tom Overheim to just come hang out. He can
Yeah,
come
you
hang
can come
out.
on the show anytime.
I got an extra chair here. He can
Got
he can
plenty of
sit
room
on.
here.
I'm telling you, man, we should expand. I've been listening to this podcast because I'm a retro computer nerd. It's called the Retro Hour podcast. It's pretty popular. And the first half of their show, they do this kind of stuff, and then they interview people. I think that would be kind of cool. Maybe in 2023, we should all just go to Super Booth,
right.
man. Get a press pass.
Get in the
just
car.
Hang out. I love Germany. I really like Berlin too. So it'd be a cool.
Berlin is on my list.
Andrew, I think we should talk about geography for a second.
Like the Front 242 album?
It's a great.
I mean, there's an ocean between here and there, and I think a car is not the best.
Well, I got to get to the
option.
ocean somehow.
Okay.
Once I get to the ocean, I'll figure it out. Pontoons, hello.
There's a couple of famous
Pontoons Hello is that's the name of an album, and somebody better go make
Right.
it.
people who refuse to fly. I think it was like Stanley Kubrick refused to fly.
Yeah.
I forget how he actually got across the Atlantic.
I think it took a steamship.
I know you can get on a Maersk shipping line. I think if you're willing to sleep in a cot.
Actually, from what I understand, you can actually do freighter tramping in style. They actually have special rooms set aside for tourists.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Huh.
I looked that up, and that's a thing that you can do.
I truly do hate flying, but I think I would take it too.
I wouldn't mind doing a transatlantic cruise kind of thing. That'd be kind of fun, but only if I had got to dress like an oldie timey person.
I mean, there's nothing holding you back. You can do it right now.
Who's fucking stopping
That's
you, man?
fair enough.
Do it.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Robin's on. Hey, Robin.
Yeah. So, yeah, the other trick is don't fly an American airline across the pond.
No.
I've had super good luck with Scandinavian Air and Air Iceland and even Aer Lingus.
British Airways or Singapore Air.
Yeah, I've done Aer Lingus.
KLM's
I
pretty
flew
good
Air
too.
India to France before. The food was really good.
Nice. Yeah, every time I've flown an American airline across the pond, it's been a fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah. So anyway, go Oberheim.
Speaking of across the pond, what about this? What about this German company?
So speaking of anuses, so Behringer is going after the music easel now, the Buchla music easel. They're building this thing as soon as they got the chips.
Music easel.
Yes, the music easel.
Okay, Behringer.
Yeah,
Cool.
so they're gonna make this thing for $400 apparently. Yeah. So
I think it's a great idea.
What's that?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
They should. The electronics in a Buchla easel are not that advanced.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't that difficult of a thing to build.
Mm-hmm.
But to get a Buchla easel now, what's it going to cost you? Like $7,000, $10,000? It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, oh, well, my band is going to be on to the night show and this thing's going to showcase. It's avant-garde synth.
Yeah.
It's difficult to use for anything musically useful. It's interesting and it has a philosophy, but it's the amount of money it's going to make you back is zero.
It's $3,000 new with the re-release that Buchla put out recently.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, additive synthesis or the West Coast synthesis, with the wave shapers, there's no reason it should be $3,000.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that Behringer is going to make this thing accessible And the reason why is because West Coast synthesis does not get the use that it should.
I agree.
It's because it has a philosophy, and that's interesting. And I want more people to play with it and use it and experiment with it and explore and find new sounds. And if Behringer's going to make that happen, great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. It'd be great if somebody else did it like Novation, but we got to, it's just time to accept that Behringer is going to re-release every synth we've ever wanted.
Probably, as well as a lot that we don't want.
No, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I bought their RD6, 8, and 9, and I don't know who's used TR-808 or 909 or 606, but hey, spoiler alert, the thing is, people who are doing this thing where they're talking about like, oh, which one's more authentic? Is this authentic? Does this sound like a real one? The truth is, there have never been any two 808s that have sounded like one another, or any two 909s. The only thing that's ever sounded like one another are the cymbals on the 909s, because they were samples. Everything else on the thing sounded absolutely different from unit to unit. So I don't know, whatever, like authentic is kind of made up on those things because they were not like the best made devices, and now they're all 40 years old. So these things, I don't know, they sound like the drum machines to me. I don't know about like perfectly authentic, but it's a question of like which one. But they definitely don't like feel the best is the thing. So I hope that they can get the I hope that they, part of the music easel specifically is that touch plate. And the new one they call the easel command lacks the touch plate. But the new Sensel Morph things, which I think look pretty cool. The Sensel Morph actually looks, to me, and not in a bad way, not in a disparaging way, like a tech demo. It looks like a solution in search of a problem, and they're like, oh, we could use this to make synth things. It's cool, but it's like, I don't know, it's not really the thing that they're using it for. Right. But I don't know. I think that's gonna be part of it, because a lot of them, easel specifically, was it self-contained in the briefcase. You got the touch capacitive control schema, and I think that's pretty important for it. But Christoph, to your point about the West Coast synthesis, I don't think the make noise, no coast, and no control together are quite as powerful as an easel. It's a hard comparison.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I think that the no coast takes a lot of the philosophy of like the easel and makes it so people can understand it without making it too divey. So it's easier to like with like something like a lot of the Buchla stuff. It's kind of one of those things that's difficult to make it sound good. Yeah, and make noise. It's kind of like what Korg and Electron did for FM. They made it so it's easier to make it sound decent.
Yeah, but my point was about the idea, essentially, not that it's a one-to-one representation, right, but the trying to compare like relatively like which one's more powerful. I think the easel probably does a bit more than the two of those together, but they're relatively accessibly priced. And they do bring quite a bit of the West Coast philosophy together. The comedically, and people forget about this one, if you really are interested in sort of like checking out some of the West Coast philosophy, the Volca modular is that. You have to like need tweezers and a magnifying glass and the patience of a saint to use it, but it's, I don't know, it's $12 or something.
There is that.
It isn't very good, but it is very inexpensive.
John Haynes says Sensel's main market is industrial applications. The Morph is a sideline project for them.
Oh, that's interesting, John. I'm not surprised. Like it kind of feels like that's what it is.
That's kind of cool. I wanted to jump back in the chat real quick because I know SynthLab was talking about Endorphin's new delay module and wanted to talk about some of that stuff. We don't generally dive much into modular news, just because if we did, this show would be 12 hours long every week, every day, because there's so much modular out there and everything like that. And none of us are really hardcore modular people. So I know SynthLab, you love the modular, but I'm actually getting rid of all my modular because fuck it.
I can't believe it.
That I said fuck it.
You're getting rid of your modular.
I'm keeping some of the effects and a couple units, but I'm not like. It was just I was spending so much time like making the same sounds with it that I just got bored.
Yeah, I think for me, I was looking at some. I sold all my semi-modular stuff because it was like, it sounded great, but it wound up having all of the drawbacks of modular and all of the drawbacks of an integrated synth without really sort of fully realizing the benefits of either. I can see a place where there would be where I could be into doing something with modular, but I like the self-containedness of those. And I think something like that, like the shared system is pretty cool. I could see that being fairly useful for sound design and getting some weird stuff out of it. But I think if you don't really like go after something pretty big and go after it pretty hard like that, it's going to be pretty repetitive.
Yeah.
Sort of like the music easel, where you can make nothing but 5-note squawk.
For $3,000. So more Behringer news, just for Wambra. And this one's interesting here, and that is the Behringer announcing, once they get the chips, the Cobalt Expander, which is like the French mini Moog. So this thing's kind of weird. They don't have much detail about it or anything like that. They put some pictures up. It's in that standard Behringer rack kind of base thing. So Jeff, you want to talk about this a little bit? I think you posted this, didn't you?
Nope,
No,
wasn't me.
you?
That was probably me.
Oh, Christoph did it.
So in the photos, it looks like there might be 3 different sizes of this
Yeah.
thing, but it might just that they've done multiple prototypes. The Cobalt's interesting because it's not just a mini Moog. It allows you to sweep between your waveform shapes, which you can't do with the mini Moog. So the Cobalt's a well-respected synth, and it's a rare synth. And so people kind of covet this thing, and the fact that it's going to be available again, fantastic. I know that a lot of people hate the Model D, but I haven't had problems with mine, and I really enjoy it.
I haven't had problems with my Model D because I never use it.
Yeah. See that. But anyway,
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
but for the cost that it would take, just for the cost of getting maintenance on one of these things, you can just buy it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is exciting news, but of course, waiting on chips.
Yeah, and I see that they're also looking at the ARP
good.
Avatar as well, that they're talking about releasing that as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's interesting. Like I like it when they start doing stuff like we're gonna release things that you can't get anymore that are really like out of people's price ranges and stuff like that. I'm cool with that. I'm not especially cool when stuff is currently in production and they're cloning it. That kind of scares me.
Terrible. I would all agree on that.
Yeah.
Like they never should have gone after the Keystone.
Yeah.
yeah.
That.
I mean, and there's other stuff too. Like I would actually say the easel is kind of there too.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't realize the easel was still in production.
Yeah.
Or back into production.
Yeah. Yeah, it pops in and out of production every couple of years, I think. It's like, they take a break, smoke a cigarette, then get back into it.
Yeah. But of course,
There was also
Euclid anymore either.
Yeah, there was a bunch of naming shenanigans with the Buchla stuff. Not the same as Oberheim's, but sort of like ownership of the name and how did that move around.
I don't know if that goes back to the Buchla family.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, the original Cobalt sounds good. I'd be super interested. Speaking of just general stuff that's out of print, Like, I think I'll probably grab one of the Behringer cats at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
They're inexpensive, cheap and cheerful gizmo.
Yeah, I have my eyes on the Wasp because I really love some of the cool, like, minimal wave use in the late 70s, early 80s with the original Wasp.
Yeah, and I played the original Wasp, and I'd rather have a clone.
Yeah.
The original Wasp feels exactly as cheap as it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Of
that.
So
Yeah.
the
It's like the
knobs are
Pro
nice,
one.
but the key bed is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately a very entry level. I mean, literally. Yeah.
So it was Nitzreb's first synth.
Yep.
There you go. That's all I need to know.
But it didn't make, I don't think it made it to the album.
Oh, it
Because
was,
it didn't have a sequencer. And they eventually got an SH-101, but what they really wanted was a Sequential Circuits Pro 1, but they couldn't afford it. And their dad actually helped them buy the Wasp. I think he bankrolled half of it.
wow.
There's actually a great picture of Peter Murphy playing a Wasp in some pre-Bauhaus band. Apparently, he was.
That makes sense. They were all in Northampton, England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it would make sense that you'd have a Wasp there.
Yeah, that's fair.
And a Sinclair.
Yes. Sinclairs are crazy. Cool. Well, so yeah, the Cobalt, whenever they get the chips. Up next on our list here is Korg has introduced the second generation of the Volca FM. Get your tweezers ready, kids, and your magnifying glasses. Well, I mean, I guess the Volca FM doesn't have as many knobs as like the modular and stuff like that, the Volca modular. Get ready for less confusion, more confusion. Who knows? At any rate, this little guy here is a 6-voice polyphony, has a new reverb, more sound memory, has velocity support, all that kind of stuff. They make it even easier to make it not sound like buttholes. It comes with a little versatile appreciator, apparently, and a motion sequencer.
Great.
And they actually have MIDI out on it now, too.
Which I think is the most important addition.
Yes, absolutely. And Robin says, secondary news, the original Volca FM is flooding the resale markets.
Yeah, that's no surprise.
Yeah.
I think the original Volca FM must have sold pretty well that they put up this second one, and it addresses so many of the complaints that people had about it. And I remember when Jeff got his, my concern was that 3 notes polyphony is really not enough. And with 6 notes, at least you can play a chord and then play another chord without cutting off your previous chord.
Yes.
So I think that's really important. But I think more importantly is the MIDI out will allow you to do patch management, through an external editor, and for FM, and the amount of FM presets that we can juggle that are DX7 compatible. I mean, it's so easy to pick up like 20,000
Yes.
FM presets,
Absolutely.
and because FM synthesis is so difficult, presets are a really good starting.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
So this was the main thing that made me not recommend the original Volca FM, is that it didn't have that output, and so that patch management was a bitch. I know that there was a way to do it with recording audio and then converting that audio into a digital file, and that's just a nightmare, and no one to do that. I mean, USB is a thing, and MIDI is a standard, and so this was a great component.
John Haynes says that no sysx for backup of patches, I thought, is what he says there.
Well, I think there was a way to do it, to dump your stuff on the original, using an audio file that you had to convert to digital.
Right.
Whereas I believe that the new one you can, but if you can't, well, then it is equally worthless.
You can write to them with sysx.
Yeah.
It isn't particularly user friendly to do it, but it can be done. They sound good, but not great to use.
But if you can't do sysx with the new one, they have dropped the ball in a huge way.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is they can always update it with firmware. So.
Yeah, I mean, do they have if they had a patch editor or something? Do they have such a thing?
Well, I mean, if it's DX7 compatible, then there's
Dex
things you could use. You could use Dext.
Yeah.
Yeah. There used to be a program from a company called eMagic called Sound Diver, but a certain company bought that company and discontinued all their good things because they're evil.
Yep. Absolutely evil. That'll teach him. I'm trying to look up right now to see if that's if they do have the sysx ability or not. So talk amongst yourselves.
I'm doing the same.
Well, if John Haynes says that information, that's just terrible, because that is something you really want with a DX7 clone, especially because nothing really has a great interface for DX7 programming. I mean, Op6 is probably the best, in the currently available, except for there's one that was custom built that had like 70 knobs.
Yes.
But really, what you need, you want to have like 70 knobs to do your patch, programming for FM.
So,
and
as an aside to that, I recently
it really lends itself to having a computer editor.
Mm-hmm.
I recently picked up the Op6 software from Korg, and so interestingly enough, I have Andrew's old wave state, and I also demoed the wave state software because it'll let you do that. And there are actually some differences. I don't know if it's the ADAC on it or what, but it does sound. Some things actually sound better with the hardware, and it could just be my setup. I don't know. But the Op6 software is kind of that, I guess, Christoph, which maybe got me thinking, because you get all the coolness of that, but then it's sort of in software. And if you consider what those boxes are, right? They're just software in a box, then,
Well, I will say nobody has made a perfect DX7 emulation. There's a guy who I'm going to argue is the best FM program in the world in Japan. He has a YouTube channel called Power DX7, and he went through and he loaded up his patches on the Arturia clone, on Dext, on others. He used multiple modes because one of the great things about Dext is you can modulate the bit depth of the operators, just like the DX7 or the DX7 II or a modern one, and it definitely changes the sound. And one of the strengths of the DX7, because of its low resolution, is that frequently that low resolution adds shimmer to the sounds when you have the right modulation, and it just sounds beautiful. And he made his DX7 sound like a CS80, and I couldn't believe it. He does a Vangelis cover, and I can't believe it's an FM synth doing it. And so he'd play some of his patches, and he would find where they didn't play them back right. And he would think, well, it's digital. How hard is this to do? Clearly, it's really difficult. And sometimes when you do this implementation, especially on this old hardware, you take mathematical shortcuts to make it work because the processing isn't there. And you get these exploits that alter your sounds. And I think that's the DX7. So, I mean, my favorite FM synth is Native Instruments FM8, and it's something that I hope never goes away. And it's because it has the best FM interface for programming. It's just laid out there. You don't have to worry about your algorithms. You can just make whatever you want. And it's just laid out in such a logical and easy way if you understand FM synthesis. It's so easy to program. I mean, it's not as nice as having 80 knobs, but, I don't have 80 knobs. So, but and it'll load all the DX7 patches and the TX81Z patches. Do they sound exactly the same? Sometimes, and sometimes not. So, and that's just, that's one of those things. Not every emulation is to be perfect. Frequently, it's close enough, but sometimes things have their advantages. I mean, there are software emulations that sometimes they sound far better than the original, and sometimes the hardware is better. It depends.
I think that in the end, generally people aren't going to notice too much if it sounds exactly like an FM or not. That's more, that's more. I feel that a lot of that kind of thing is kind of like nitpicky after a while.
Yeah, it is.
I'm old enough now to not give a shit.
Yeah, it depends if you're just trying to get your old patch to play back correctly.
Right.
So my second band, our main synth was an FM synth, It was called a Yamaha B200. You know, and if I load those sounds into FM8, it's close enough. I don't have access to it anymore, so I don't know. But you know, again, it's cheaper than buying another one, and it's close enough. I think what's great about this is that there's a resurgence at FM, because FM has been just a black sheep in the synthesis world for a long time. Plus, it's really difficult. Yet it does things that nothing else really does well. And so it gives you a palette to reach from and use that will help you stand out. And so it's great to have, you know, affordable FM options. Unfortunately, there were drawbacks to the Volca FM that I thought made it, you know, not a good way to go for FM because of the lack of sidesax and patch.
Yeah.
You know, and the low polyphony. So I'm glad that they addressed some of these, but maybe not all.
Yeah, so the SysX is only it can load SysX. It doesn't say anything about being able to save SysX.
You can't save, but you can use the sync out for that audio garbage
so
mess.
it's still shit.
Yeah. I mean,
so
the Op6 is great. Super duper recommend the hardware. It sounds awesome and it's a lot of fun to use. I really enjoy it.
So there you go.
Yeah,
Save your pennies and get an Op6.
It's probably the best hardware interface for it.
It has the 12-bit sine waves too.
Yep.
So there you go.
It's a shame that they didn't add the TX81Z's waves.
I don't know if they did or not. It's got a bunch of.
Oh, does it? I thought it was just sine waves. It has other operators.
No, it's got a lot. It is
All right.
ultra powerful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it has. I could go look if anybody really wants to know. It's got basically all of the standard waveforms that you would expect on any subtractive synthesizer as options. And then it has 12-bit versions, and it has a couple other unusual waveforms in there, and you can choose them to be, of course, operators or carriers, and it's got lots of different. I think it has pretty much every permutation of the 6-op algorithm that you can get to, and then it has. I haven't tried to do any of the arbitrary algorithms, but you can build some of your own in it. And then you can also treat any of the operators as, you can use them for FM. You can actually use them as filters. You can use them as ring mods and all sorts of other stuff. It does a lot.
All right. Well, so the two operators I'm really looking for is, a triangle, because if you have a triangle, you can really make a lot of those metallic dubstep sounds. Just if you set your ratios across, and it makes the synth sound really sick. And then there's I don't know even how to describe this waveform. It's kind of like it goes straight, then it's like a half circle, and then it goes straight. And that sound is used in the TX81Z for the lately bass patch.
That's a hump.
A
hump wave?
Sure, why not? So, and I mean, it's the lately bass sound isn't the best sound, but it's immediately recognizable, and it means a lot to a lot of people. So
it's the.
So it's great that it has that. That makes it a much more powerful FM.
Yeah.
That's something that the Volca FM won't do, because the Volca is, at least the first one, was
it's
just
all signs.
Yeah.
All signs.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. Yeah. We touched on the subject of FM synthesis, and it makes everybody
That should
happy.
be a redemption.
What about like a FM theremin where you control the modulation with your hand?
That's guaranteed to sound really.
It would be just, super good. Or Moog could just make one called the Etherwave.
Sorry.
We did it.
Really
Is that
trying
all
to
we
make
gotta
a
say about this?
theremin noise. Which is funny because I just happened to have a original ether wave.
That's a beaker wave?
And they just introduced the Etherwave 2, which that's lovely. And it sounds great. It sounds just like the way you like your theremins to sound. Woo! What kind of gets to me about this thing is they put CV on it, but they didn't put MIDI.
Weird.
Now, like the Theramini has USB out, and you can control MIDI through USB on there. I have a Theramini as well, because I love theremins. So that's kind of weird. So and like, you know, they did some physical, you know, upgrades and stuff like that, like the, you know, antenna quick release, because by now you have to like unscrew it. Yeah, John Haynes says it incorporates all the bits of the Etherwave Plus, which, yeah, they do. So the CV output integration gives you gate out, pitch out, volume out, so you can plug it into, you know, either your modular Euro rack, any of the CV controlled stuff, the 303. Yeah. That kind of thing. So it, you know, it looks nice. It looks great. It sounds good. I wish they would have put MIDI on it.
Does this have the quantized correction?
It does not. That's just the Theramini that does that. The Etherwave is not the pitch correction the scale mode or anything like that.
Or the Clarivox Centennial.
Yeah, the Clarivox Centennial is a sexy theremin, but not for that price. So yeah, that's cool. They're going for what's the price on these things? I think they're going for like $700. I'm checking right now.
It was something like that. The Clarivox is not as crazy expensive as I mean the Clarivox is $14.99.
Yeah.
And it's got an analog oscillator and a wavetable synthesizer in it.
Yeah, that's
as
really
well as
cool.
Effects.
That's still like outside of my price range for a theremin. Because I'm not really good at playing the theremin.
Yeah, the new Etherwave is $900.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of pricey, but it, like I said, looks great, sounds great. If you are a theremin fan, you should buy two. So yeah. Next piece of news. There's a company called Electron, and they make synthesizers, and they recently put out this new guy called the Syntact. And unless you don't subscribe, unless you don't look at YouTube at all, you probably have heard of this thing because, as usual, every YouTube influencer and person on there have already touted and talked about this thing left and right. It is a 12-track, they call it a drum computer and synthesizer. It's got 8 tracks of digital and 4 tracks of analog synthesis in there. It is built in the same kind of chassis that the Digitact and the Digatone were built as. For some reason, the LCD is now blue instead of yellow.
And the lights are red instead of orange on the thing that tells you which of the total of 4 measures you could be on.
Yes. So it's the 4-measure long, which I know that bugs people like Jeff because he thinks that it should be infinite.
People who write songs, Andrew?
Yeah, well, you know. I don't know. I mean, Justin and I played how many fucking half-hour-long concerts with nothing but Electron gear for how many years?
I mean, it suits itself to that format for sure, right? Yeah, this is an interesting one for me because, as you know, Andrew, I mean, we both played with pretty much everything these dudes have ever made, except for the Sid station, which I've never. And I feel like they're in this interesting place now. They've been in kind of a lull, and it's like I feel like we're turning into this sort of overlapping Venn diagram, or this sort of Frankenstein's monster of like, you know, we'll take all, and this isn't necessarily a criticism. It's just they're taking pieces, parts, right, and sort of putting them together here. So I mean, it's got sort of analog 4 feel to it, you know, but then it's got sort of dig attack feel to it because it's got, you know, digital, you know, drums and everything. And I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I know you picked it up and you've got a lot of Electron gear. I'm tempted for sure. But in some ways, like if you already had an analog 4 and a dig attack, like would you need this? You know, I don't know. It's like the effects are badass. Okay, I'll tell you what. That's the most novel thing on here is that effects chain. I think that is pretty damn cool. And for someone who uses the analog heat a lot as an outboard effects unit, I could see just using this for that.
So it's not dig attack like at all. So the dig attack is, I mean, that's a sampler, right? And this is digital synths. So these aren't like sampled synths or anything like that. They're just digital synthesizers. It's kind of like along the same lines. They took like the machines that were in things like obviously the model. What is that? The model
cycles.
Yeah, the model cycles, but also like the machines that were like in the mono machine and the machine drum. So they took that kind of idea, and unlike the model cycles, the interface doesn't blow horrible chunks across the street. It's actually, you know, it's got that nice, you know, better Electron feel than the models did. You know, because I think.
Let me modify my statement then. I recognize it doesn't do samples. I just meant like from a musician standpoint, right? If you just want drums, right? So I'm saying, like, if you already had something like the Dig Attack, which had infinite amount of drums, you know what I mean? And you had an analog 4, would you need something like this?
Well, I have both.
Do you know what I mean?
I have both.
And that's because they're overlapping their stuff.
I don't feel that way though.
Person.
I don't feel that way. I've been sitting here. I've been playing with the Syntact, and you know, it's literally sitting right next to the analog 4. It's literally sitting right next to the Dig Attack, and it doesn't sound like either of those things.
Okay,
you know?
Fair enough.
And I think that the reason why I'm saying that is that they have like the tweaking and stuff like that is on the Syntact is a little bit different than the tweaking that's on like the analog 4, which is just like standard additive subtractive kind of thing. This is more like some like more wave shaping and stuff like that going on.
But they've got 4 analog voices that are doing standard analog stuff.
But it's
right?
it's more like the analog rhythm kind of style thing. So you got like that weird like dual VCO stuff going on that.
Right.
So that's one of the things that makes that a little bit different. And also, the other thing is weird because they make the effects a track as well. So you can actually go in and you can do all the same weird Electron shit that you can do on like the sound sequences just to the effects. So
that's cool.
The effects themselves become like their own sequence. And so you can do a lot more of interesting expressiveness and everything like that.
So you can do parameter locking on the effects
but
track.
a little bit different than just like parameter locking the individual effect. You actually take the entire effects track and you can do things like make weird ducking out of the whole thing and stuff like that. It's a little bit difficult to explain, more like to hear is the really thing. And they also made it so like there's actually a chord machine in there as well. Yeah, and that's kind of interesting as well because you can p-lock that and make it do all kinds of weird shit too.
Right. I mean, they're just tuning oscillators. Yeah. I mean, look, some of the critique of this thing is that it is neither fish nor fowl. But I would argue this. I mean, look, it's different. And people didn't like cycles either, and I hear you. But after watching Bo Beach's thing and just hearing, I guess, what some people have said, it's just like any other like lower end thing. People poo-poo it at first, and then somebody cleverly comes back and does something badass with it, right? So it's like, you know, this is one of those cycles where it's like, this thing is unique, as you say. I'll take your word for it that it sounds unique. And then if it is, something really cool is going to come of this. And it's not going to be, it'll be apples and oranges to compare it to other stuff, right? I'm hoping that that's what.
So, like, so far I've done nothing but make ambient music with the thing. So I'm not even like the drums that are on there. I haven't even really touched those yet. I've just like been taking them and just turning them into other weird like shit, you know, and doing more like weird like ambient-y, spacey as hell kind of sounding things. And I will say that I think they improved the effects algorithms on this. They sound like the reverb and the delay actually sound better than they do in the Digitact and the Digatone.
That's impressive because they sounded great.
Yeah, but they're like a little bit thicker and a little bit warmer. And then like they also do have an analog effects block as well for like overdrive, and they have analog filtering on it, and that's the thing that you can sequence is the analog effects block on it.
Nice. You know, I really wish they would bring back a more modern version of the mono or the machine drum. I wish they would do that. I was kind of hoping that would be their next thing, but this thing sounds cool. I wasn't trying to diss it. I think it's beautiful. I'm just trying to put it in some kind of space, right? Because like, for me, it's like, do I buy it or not? It has a lot to do with, does it fill a space that I need? You know?
Yeah, and I think that like if your experience with Electron stuff is just with the diggy stuff, then I think that the Syntact holds its own space with those other devices. Cool. So if you have just the Digatone, you have the Digitact, and the Syntact adds to that quite nicely. There are elements of it that come from the analog rhythm. There's components of it that come from the model cycles, but it integrates the good things about the model cycles, which is really just the machines. It integrates that into a better interface that doesn't feel like I'm playing a bag of smashed assholes.
Well, they did bring back that machine model, which is what they did, obviously, with the mono machine and those, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the Syntact that's available now. They're going for $9.99. And
$9.99.
I'll paint your car.
I'll paint any car for $99.99.
So that's the Syntact. Good job, guys. More importantly, our good friends at Teenage Engineering, the makers of such exciting products as the door stopper that is the OPZ, and really expensive speakers, have lost their ever fucking mind and lost complete grip on reality by releasing the TX6, the $1,200 mixer that is smaller than your phone. And after watching an opening video, it comes with a case that it doesn't fit inside of.
It looks like it was made from scraps out of the Goodwill dumpster.
Yep.
Some kind of cognitive dissonance, like where
and the knobs apparently in the middle are very difficult to turn.
You know why? Because F you, that's why.
Yes.
But you're forgetting the best part. It requires special cables because it's a pro device.
Yes.
And nothing says pro like not meeting the existing standards. It's been literally used for 60 years. P.S. Please, Internet, understand, I have been mad about this thing for 2 weeks now since it's been released. And sorry, not sorry. If you're one of the people who's been doing this online, I have heard the most, like, I don't know, Stockholm Syndrome level simping for this thing that people have been doing. They're trying to justify it. This is the dumbest bullshit that's ever existed. It is the dumbest device that a human being has ever made. If you made a calculator that was powered on math problems that you had to do before the calculator was used, that calculator would still be a smarter and better device than this thing. It is the dumbest thing that anybody's ever made. It's $1,200.
It's like a calculator without a 5.
It's ridiculous. And people have been like jumping over the most
because
mental
fanboys.
hoops to try to justify this thing. No, this thing's fucking ridiculous. Like you $100 Behringer mixer is it's this big. It's the size of a book.
Yeah.
Got,
But
yeah,
And
that
it's
one
better.
right there.
price tool,
Yep.
so you got to get the teenage engineering one to fit your aesthetic because that's your identity. But yeah, I think the meeting went, hey, why are we going to treat our customers like this? Oh, because fuck them, that's why.
That's what Dave Chappelle pops up out of the background.
Yeah. It's just terrible.
Yeah. This is and this is what I mean, this doesn't surprise me in the least that this thing exists. It is it's such a bad idea. Like I look at this thing and I'm like, oh, this would be cool for no. It's not no. This would be cool. No.
Does it interface with Lego Mindstorms? Is that what the deal is? Do you have motors?
It doesn't
that might actually
even
be
do
cooler.
that because if it had the Lego compatibility that like the OPZ or the OP1 have, then at least you could turn the fucking knobs by putting long Lego sticks sticking out of them. You know?
I mean, it's all very cute. I think their aesthetic is cute, like you mentioned, but it's like, who the fuck is this for?
Yeah. Hipsters.
Like, who's this for?
Sorry, hipsters
And,
that are listening.
I'm positive people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
I know that there's somebody working in a music store right now is going, man, I have like 25 orders for this stupid thing because hipster doofuses.
I mean, maybe I went through I got into it with somebody a while ago because they were telling me about how teenage engineering was very dumb.
Right.
I don't know why I wasted my time, but I did waste my time doing this. And somebody was like, no, man, you don't get it. Teenage engineering is like a really big company and blah, 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 blah. And, well, here's the thing. They're not. They actually don't sell much at all. Yeah. And I found this out because a couple of years ago, they reported their highest sales year ever, and they launched a program to do like a charitable program where they said that they were going to donate X% of their revenue. And they were doing this because it was their best year ever. Okay, cool. So that's very easy to figure because you have to report when you offer charitable donations. That's a publicly reported number, very easy to find. Right. So it's very easy to back into how large they are. Like they're tiny. They're like a $70 million company worldwide, which is like not a large company to be like a global company that's doing hardware. Mm-hmm. Behringer's probably doing like, I don't know, 400 million.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing that up because I am holding out hope that people are not stupid enough to buy this thing. But people are, on the other hand, not smart enough to wear a mask.
So, there's that too.
Yeah. And so maybe I'm wrong.
And like, Wabber is talking about, it's like, well, the pocket operators and stuff like that, and like the Volcas and stuff like that, they all have like the similar kind of connectivity that you can use with this mixer. But if you're buying pocket operators and Volcas, you're not going to spend $1,200 on a fucking little mixer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pocket operators are cool.
Yeah.
I'm pro pocket
They're
operators.
like $60.
Yeah,
you're not
cool.
going to spend $1,200 to mix them together.
Well, that was my question. Who the fuck is this for, right? I mean, no pro audio person is going to fucking buy this.
This is, I'll tell you who this is for.
People that like putting mixers in their buttholes.
Yes. It's for those people. This is also for the people who invested more money in succulents to put on Instagram and YouTube than they invested into their music education.
All right. So look at your gear setup. And how many plants do you have next to your synthesizers? If it's too many plants, you're going to buy this thing.
That's right. And
I'm proud to report I have no fucking living things in here, and I barely qualify.
I don't have anything living in here except
I have
myself.
some plastic plants.
I have a Saturn V Lego rocket.
Yeah. See, so none of us are buying it.
And a Millennium
I got
Falcon.
Darth Vader, who is arguably alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
He is. So it's hard to say.
But if you've spent more time working out the webcam angle to maximize your plant in front of your modular synth, then you might be buying this product
that you don't know how to use. Your modular synth that you definitely don't know how to use.
And I can't really mix with it, but it looks so cool. I'm
It's just sitting there disconnected.
Yeah. So
It's just like not even plugged in.
It's
'Cause
funny
the
you mentioned
cables
this.
don't work.
Chances are, if you buy this thing, your dad is the CEO for a Fortune 500 company, and you have never suffered a day in your life.
This is really an aesthetic, what you guys are mentioning, and it does turn up, and it's really funny. I guess I kind of thought it was like sort of hipster goodness, whatever, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah. And
I just need a few chia pets
I
and
gotta
some
give,
Toro for coffee.
Jeff credit. He's the one that pointed this out to me, I believe.
That's a very astute observation, Jeff. I like it.
Which one?
About the plants and
this
scents.
sort of crowd,
I think you
yeah.
pointed that out to me like a year ago.
It's a thing, man. It's that's who this is for. This is for the people. They're just gonna have a bed of aloe plants. It's gonna just be nestled in aloe plants.
Yeah,
I just love the term succulent.
Like my favorite Jewish holiday, suck it.
Yep. But it's even better because it's succulent.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They don't allow that on Instagram.
Give it up for me. Yeah. Wambra loves the fact that Jeff throws out auditing, information and stuff like that on in Rage.
Yeah.
Jeff is he's like the Greenpeace warrior of pro audio.
Yes. And I am here
It's
for it.
investigative journalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. So yeah,
So
the
Jeff-
Teenage Engineering
Jeff-
TX6. Buy it if you like. Don't bother. Never mind.
Suffering. If you want to
Or
buy something
remember,
that you're going to return, there you go.
You could put it in your $175 plastic shoe rack that they made. Remember
Oh
those?
yeah.
You remember those
Yep.
things, the hanging things that you put your shoes? The thing they're $3.91 at Target, and they made those for cents, and they hang on your closet bar where you keep all of your scents, of course.
Did they make that awful DIY fucking modular thing?
Yep.
Yup,
That, like a
made
lot of
that
people
too.
like would break because they're like trying to like pop the metal, and if you bend it wrong, it will just snap if you bend it back.
I've had better luck putting together snap-in Gundam characters. Like, come on, like,
Yes.
fuck that.
Yeah, for sure.
Toto Robin
Yeah,
has
so
those
they
for
should
her
be
shoes
sending
and
us some of
leggings. So
these.
did you buy it from Teenage Engineering for $375, Robin? That's the question. Or did you buy the $3.75 one from Target? Please say the Target.
The good news is Teenage Engineering is going to probably send us like 7 of these next week.
Just
so
to piss us off. They'd be like, well, here you can fucking review
I would
it.
mail it back.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
I would.
I know, right? I would
I
leave it in
would-
the box sealed and just send it back to them and say, good.
Yeah,
Nah, man,
no, like,
you
I'm
fools
sad,
can send it
thank
to
you.
me, and I'll shirk these things on Fleabay for twice the width.
Okay, that's fair.
That was
That's
the
a good-
best thing about
that's a good
Teenage
one.
Engineering was the fact that I was able to sell my OP1 for more than what I bought it for.
Yeah,
That was the best thing about Teenage Engineering.
If you still don't even answer it, if you've still got the OPZ, you should sell it before somebody accidentally associates you with it. Now that this thing's out.
You to mark them up, you got to put a fake Steve Jobs signature on it. And that's-
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Look, those things are kind of cool toys, but they're just so overpriced and so not.
Not when they
professional
don't
gear
fucking
that-
work and they're just a fucking doorstop.
Well, okay, well, that's what I mean. Like, they could have made them work. They could have sold them for a fucking third of what they did, and then it would have been something kind of cool. But
Yeah.
whatever.
I bought one. I had sent it back. They had fixed it, and it's still fucked up. And now they're like, no, we don't honor the 3-year warranty that Sweetwater gave you, so it's going to cost you X amount of money for us to repair it.
Which is like the replacement cost.
And it's like, and you know what's
it's
bad?
not-
Because I emailed Sweetwater, I'm like, hey, I'm having problems with my OPZ, and they contacted me back, and they're like, well, we don't service them anymore because we had nothing but problems with them, so we don't even carry their stuff anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can say what you like about Sweetwater. They actually have a pretty damn good repair department of their own.
Yeah,
They
they're
actually
great.
they repaired my Prophet 5 that had that capacitor, or that was
The Dave Smith sound issue.
Yeah, they added a resistor that didn't need to be there or something. Yeah, and they were happy to desolder it and yank it from the board, and it works
Yeah.
great. So thanks,
No
Sweetwater.
kidding.
Yeah, I like Sweetwater. My dude at Sweetwater, Greg, is awesome. He's always down to help. Great service.
That's awesome. So anyway, yeah, T engineering, woohoo. Okay, next up here. Again, we don't generally talk about modular stuff, but this one's kind of a big deal, and that is Mutable Instruments discontinuing their products and shutting down their production. This is kind of a big deal.
And it's sad.
It is. Mutable Instruments and Emily Glebe make amazing things. They make sound modules that no one else was making, and now everyone can make because it's all open source. I had a number of clones of her stuff because they weren't making some of them, and it works great. But she doesn't really say why she's shutting it down or anything like that. We can only speculate. The modular market, I'm sure, is having an interesting time right now because of the shortages of parts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, best of luck to her future endeavors and stuff like that. And thanks for making some incredible things that, even on the non-modular side, because a lot of the stuff shows up in things like the, what's that Arturia synth?
Oh,
the Microfreak.
Microfreak.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. Those definitely show up in there. And, like I said, it's sad that, that this company is going to stop, these innovators are going to stop, making this stuff.
We talk a lot about the synth legends like Oberheim and Dave Smith and Moog, and for the current generation, we're someday going to see a documentary about this woman. She's a big deal. It's a shame that she's leaving the market, and I hope someday she comes back because she was inventive.
Yeah,
she gave stuff that nobody realized they needed until she made it, and then everybody needed it. She's a huge influence because of her creativity. And the fact that she open sourced everything, it's amazing. And whatever she does, I wish her well. But she's a legend, and this is the saddest story this week.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
This month.
So there you go. Thank you, Mutable Instruments, for all the cool shit. Keep kicking ass. That's all I gotta say about that.
Maybe she's just got more money than God, and she's like, "This has been cool."
It's way better than working is.
But I'm retiring really happy,
lounging on the beach. What's that?
Let's see. Womber says there's no shortage of chips. Nobody with a mask could safely press the on button of the chip machine. Interestingly enough, the chip machine's chips are also hard to come by at this point right now too.
That's right.
So I hate when my chip machine chips aren't easy to come by.
My friend Mark works for the company that makes the microchip machines. And they cost over about $1 billion. They have to be made in clean rooms.
Oh yeah.
The whole manufacturing of these things is absolutely amazing. It's like they're making electronic pathways that are about the size of an electron. It's really getting to the edge of what's physically possible. It's amazing.
It's mind-blowing how they do that stuff.
It's fantastic.
And those chips will be in the GS Music E7, which is coming out soon. Actually, it's available now. This is a multi-timbral polyphonic analog synthesizer. So this is a company from Argentina making this. This thing. GS Music is the name of the company. A nice little boutique analog polysynth. 7-voice polyphony, can be divided into 4 analog layers. Each voice consists of 2 multi-wave analog oscillators with sub-oscillators for extra juiciness. Has a 24 decibel ladder low pass filter. It's a basic polysynth, analog polysynth, and it's going for, I think I saw like $14.99. Sounds good.
And it's multi-timbral too,
which is pretty good for.
Which is cool. It's good.
I listened to a lot of the demos on this thing because I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, yet another poly, right, in my head, and second, wait a minute, that's a pretty ambitious thing to do, right? And I've listened to so many demos, and this thing sounds really cool.
It really does.
And it's different.
Yeah,
it's different. It's got something going that's different. And yeah, I just like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even that expensive for my analog poly either.
Nope, especially for the multi-timbrality.
Yeah.
That really cranks up the price on analogs.
No, I agree. Yeah, and it's like a little tiny little company from Argentina, little boutique thing. I wish it had individual outputs. For the multi-timbralness.
Yep.
Multi-timbralness, is that a term? It is now. But yeah, I mean, that's my only gripe about it, really. It sounds fantastic otherwise.
I wish I actually spoke Spanish because a lot of the unboxings and descriptions are in Spanish. And but I also like the aesthetic idea of having different sort of model options there. It seems like a small detail, but I think that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yep. So if you need a polysynth, polyanalog, multi-timbral, boom, there it is.
So yeah, it's an exciting development. I'm glad to see another country jump into the synth manufacturing fray.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I would love to be able to talk about synths from more countries. So that's wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, I like when you get the ones that you don't expect, like Argentina.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So more countries need to make synthesizers. And then that way, more people will buy your synthesizers from other companies. As opposed to buying everything from Roland, who released a new Zencore synth.
Which is the most innovative and brilliant thing on planet Earth compared to that teenage engineering
changer
thing.
Because they added another engine to it. They added a Juno engine to this and repackaged their Jupiter X.
Yeah, but guys, it looks kind of like an OG Juno, so it must be authentic.
I think
Actually, it looks a lot like they weren't even creative enough to like do anything different.
Because those boutique units sold like hotcakes. They sold them out very quick.
Yes.
So this gives you a full size, both 106 and 60 engine, plus the additional engine that's expanded, and a keyboard, and it's that simple interface. And I remember reading that this had a better interface than the Jupiter XM. I mean, people are going to buy this thing, and it's groundbreaking for the people that wanted that Juno boutique. But yeah, otherwise, maybe not as groundbreaking as the new engine in the Jupiter X.
So, I mean, aesthetically, I actually like it. Andrew, you hate sliders. I actually love Roland stuff, and I love Roland 80 stuff. So to me, it was very aesthetically pleasing. Way more than the Jupiter X, which I thought was pretty fugly, if I'm honest. But like also, they're not even using the ACB technology, which was in the boutiques. This is the Zencore. And there's a couple dudes that I follow, like Mr. Tuna is one of them, who does a lot of A/B testing with this stuff. And look, they've got it down. It sounds pretty damn good if you're not like being real persnickety about it. And I think it's easier to clone these because they were actually pretty stale DSO synths. Like people forget that these are pretty static DCOs. And if it wasn't for the chorus and the fact that they started to fall apart, that it actually made them sound better. I don't know. I think it sounds pretty cool. And the fact that they bundled in some other stuff in there. I'm not really sold on the arpeggio stuff, really. I mean, it's kind of like a parlor trick to me.
But it definitely will sell sense.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll shift a lot of these.
Oh man, when it does the music for you, some kid's gonna buy it.
I don't see the D-beam.
No D-beam.
They haven't emulated that one in the cloud yet.
They've got one of the sound modules in there too, and then they've got the RD piano stuff. It's almost getting into workstation territory, really. It's like a low-end workstation, but then again, it's not that low-end. What is it, like $2,000? I mean, that's a little wacky. And one of the things I really don't like about it, so I had the System 8. It's currently on loan to my friend Todd. And I put in my 3 favorite plug outs because I own the plug outs and I can do what the fuck I like with them. With this thing, if you want to load the stuff in any of the other Zencore modules, you have to fucking buy this dongle. Okay? This is some BS, right? Buy this dongle, and then every 30 days you got to plug it back into the interwebs or it won't fucking work, right? To me, compared to the plug out technology, this is a huge step backwards and some real bullshit. And I don't like it.
So they talk about in their marketing how it's like, this is like the next step after the classic Juno 60 and the Juno 106, and this is exciting. What about the Alpha Juno, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Alpha Juno.
I mean, the Alpha Juno didn't have a great interface, but it sounded fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I have an Alpha Juno. It's one of the 2 Roland things I own.
Well, that presupposes that Roland would even deign to make a DCO-based analog synth, Andrew. I mean,
But they're not even there. They don't even bring it up in their marketing about the Alpha Juno. I mean, come on now. The Hoover sound invented, whatever,
That's true. People will buy it just for the
fucking Hoover sound.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So
I know you're
big thing we haven't mentioned about the Juno X though is that it has the XV580 engine, 5080 engine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
the one. That's
engine.
the sound module. Yeah.
So,
which, by the way, you can get all that in the Zencore software if you want to.
If you're
fair enough.
in the cloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and I'm a customer
of that. It does have plug-in support, so this is if you didn't want to get the System 8 because of its look and you wanted something with a more traditional look, this is something. But I feel like it might be underpowered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the ACB stuff, like the System 8, required a lot more hardware than the Zencore stuff. I wish they had done what you said, Christoph, which is beef up the hardware so it would take both Zencore and ACB plug outs. That would be the holy grail. I don't know why they won't do that, but.
And for $2,000, I mean, I want to see 128 no polyphony out of the 5080 engine.
For right?
Because I could buy a 5080 for $500.
Right.
That has that polyphony plus sample playback.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And like Womber put in there about the MKS 50, which is basically like an Alpha Juno in a rack.
Yeah.
Those also are like $500 or $600 now.
Oh yeah.
They're very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have an external MIDI controller somehow?
Yeah, actually, I have an old Behringer BCR 2000. Is it? Plugged into the Alpha Juno, and that makes the interface so much better because I can just program out the knobs to control whatever and not have to worry about touching the weird blister display, whatever you call those.
Oh, the membrane.
It just feels like I'm pushing blisters in.
It sounds like something from Alien, right? The membrane.
Touch my membrane control. Anyway, the Roland Jupiter X. The game changer.
That was a human emoji face there.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
the single raised eyebrow. Yeah.
Our good friends at Cherry Audio. 2 pieces of news from them. One of them is the hardware or software test that you can take and try to figure out what is the piece of gear that's playing for you, if it's a piece of hardware or a piece of software. Maybe we'll take that test during the off week and come back and see how we all did. and woo you with our amazing ears.
I took it already,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
I
All
took
right,
it
well,
too.
don't.
I started but didn't
How'd you do,
finish.
Justin?
I didn't do it. Don't no wait,
I
wait.
got 4 out of
Oh,
5.
see, don't talk about it. We'll do it next time. We'll do it next
Oh,
time.
sorry. I'll take it again. I'll take
And
it
then
again.
folks
'cause
that
they're different,
and then like
they're
Wambra and John Haynes and Robin and everyone else that's watching and Commander Root, you all take this test as well, and then report back on the next episode about how you did. If you can discern the software from the hardware.
This test is hard as
And
shit.
Yeah.
in the end, it has that one. It has Newman from Seinfeld saying, "See, nobody cares."
the best thing
Oh, wait, nice.
is to use headphones. That's just my humble opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good idea. I didn't
I tried it with
do that.
headphones and with the studio monitors, and it's not
Yeah.
it's not easy.
It really depends on the sound. I think that
Yeah.
just hear those imperfections. But my thoughts on we'll get into the MIDI or whatever the MIDI min or whatever the thing next but I would say that Cherry Audio is interesting because they're the sort of Budgetel of of analogs. I love Cherry and I hope they give us lots of cool stuff. But they are purposefully lower end market, right? I mean they're Comperia stuff.
They're
for
affordable.
example.
They're affordable.
Yeah.
Affordable. Thank you. That's a more euphemistic way of looking at it.
They make quality plugins that don't cost a lot of money.
And you know what though? Okay, here's the thing. I'm rant begun anyway, right? I'm gonna hit the run button. So here's the thing, and this is true with their Mini Moog clone, is that they're, in my opinion, and this is gonna sound blasphemous, just as good as at Arturia at emulating analog.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my opinion. I sometimes feel like Arturia's engines are a little samey. I'm not gonna lie. I actually prefer Arturia's digital recreations more than their analog ones. But this isn't like Yuhi Diva territory.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you want to get that shit and you have water cooled CPU towers and you can do whatever you want, then yeah, you can do better than that from an emulation standpoint. But for their packaging, the overall awesomeness and even the UIs are really good. It's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You could buy all these and still have room left over for that, new mixer from Teenage Engineering.
Or the Colossus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, end rant.
All right. Well, speaking of, they also did release the Mini Mode, MODE, emulation of the Mini Moog. And this is part of their celebration of Bob Moog's birthday. And actually, if you go to Cherry Audio's website, they have a lot of stuff going on to celebrate Bob Moog. They call it the Bob Moog Appreciation Month. So they released the Mini Moog. Right now, it's going for $39. Usually, it's $59, so it's a deal either way, which is pretty cool. They also have the Memory Mode, which is their take on the Memory Moog, on sale right now for $29. They have the Poly Mode, which is the Poly Moog, and that's going for $19 right now. And then the MG1 Plus, which Wambra, you'll be happy to know, is the authentic recreation of the Moog MG1 synthesizer that was sold through Radio Shack. The realistic MG1. They have that for free. And then they also have the 7 virtual effects for the Moog signal process that represent that emulate the Moog signal processors on sale for $50. Then they've got a number of their voltage modular modules, the Polymode, the VM900, and the Cherry Audio Year 3 collection. All those are on sale. And then they're also doing raffles every week. As well every Monday for different things that they're giving out from like the Bob Moog Foundation. So they're like doing, tchotchkes and stuff like that. So you can go on to Cherry Audio's website and check that stuff out. Doing a lot of fun things with the Bob Moog Foundation, which if you've not gone to the Bob Moog Foundation website, please do so. Consider giving them some money. They're a nonprofit organization that does a lot of, education through music and electronic music and stuff like that. If you're ever in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina, visit the Moog Museum down there. There's really cool stuff. They make great like posters and T-shirts and stuff like that you can buy, and it helps them out. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say about that, motherfuckers. So yeah, that's the Cherry Audio, the mini mode, and all that kind of stuff. Get it? It's cool. Next piece of news, because we only have 15 minutes left, and we have 3 things to go through. So let's hit this shit. Klaus Schulze, unless you've been living under a rock, has passed away at the age of 74. A very influential electronic musician. Did a lot of pretty much invented the Berlin school style of electronic music. Thank you for the moment of silence. Okay.
I love Klaus Schulze.
Yeah.
I was introduced to him by some of my friends who were into Tangerine Dream, and they were like, "Check this out. This is weirder than Tangerine."
Oh God, yeah.
And they weren't wrong. And but I instantly fell in love with it. I think one of my favorite albums is Identity. It's a sort of early '80s album. I think it's brilliant album, but just a brilliant guy. And his live shows were sort of legendary and cool.
Oh yeah.
And he was really well loved. I think a lot of people really felt the love for him, and it was well deserved.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see him pass.
Yes. So thank you, Klaus Schulze, for all the stuff that you contributed into our electronic music world.
And I just want to give a shout out to Zen Linux, who did a stream showcasing the Berlin school style of ambient and making it.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, Zen Linux, who left. So why am I thanking you? You left.
Because he's going to watch this on YouTube.
Oh, okay. You better.
It's legally required.
It is by the world. All right. Next piece of news. On to good news. Of course, something near and dear to my heart.
Steinberg.
I don't really give a shit about Steinberg. Our good friends at Synstrom have released the 4.0 firmware of the Deluge. At long last, the angels cry. And Robin just got really excited. Jesus, that thing is vibrating on that screen, isn't it?
It really is.
Oh, God, this is like seizure-inducing. Ah! Okay, yeah, so Synstrom has once again taken the demure box of the Deluge and have made improvements to it. They have added wavetable synthesis. They've improved the playback of single-cycle waveforms. They have added support for MPE and polyphonic aftertouch. They have added Euclidean sequencing per row of a clip on the Deluge. They have set up so you can now set your sequences to run forward, backward, or ping pong. And on the drum track, you can do that per line on the drum tracks and stuff like that. They finally made it so you can put your synths and your kits and your songs into folders. Thank God. So you don't have to scroll through 5 bajillion things to get somewhere.
Each named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They made it so if you have like multiple like you can differentiate MIDI devices by what they are. So that like 2 devices sending on the same MIDI channel won't be confused, which I think is a kind of a cool little engineering trick. So you can definitely add more external MIDI devices in there. And then they also made it so it's very easy to share your presets and audio files with other Deluge users. It packages them for you and stuff like that. And that's the big stuff that they added to it. Ping pong stuff is a lot of fun to play with. Womber, I don't give a shit what you think about that. Euclidean. Euclidean's kind of like to me, it's kind of like a solution looking for a problem sometimes. But whatevs. It's cool. I don't mind it.
It's really good for some things, I will say.
It's good for hi-hats.
Yeah, it's really good for accent percussion in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can put kind of any like weird little ticky sort of sounding percussion on it, especially stuff that is panned can be really interesting for just like added shenanigans. And if you you can do some things where you have it on pads, and kind of if you slow it way down or sort of where the steps are way far apart, it can be sort of like some interesting textured atmosphere, but it's not like super melodically useful.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been doing a lot of more like generative stuff with this, using things like the different you can do different sequence lengths now per line on these as well. Not line. What's the word I'm looking for? Use your words, Andrew. Per row. So each row on like a synth, you can set it to a different length, and then you can set ping pong, on that, and then you can set a percentage on each of those hits, and so that kind of makes everything kind of very.
Yeah. I did. I made a tutorial on doing generative music or pseudo-generative music on the Deluge, and I think I mostly just wanted to figure out how to do it. I think it wound up turning out like kind of interestingly, but it's not music that I enjoy listening to. I don't really like ambient music, but it was interesting to make it from sort of like a philosophical and just, I don't know, like, can I technically do this perspective? And it seems like for the people who are into that kind of a thing, this is probably some interesting new tools for it. And that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's the new stuff that's on there. Wavetable's fun on it. I mean, it's just a, nice little quality of life improvements and stuff like that on there as well. I'm going to sing the praises of the Deluge forever and ever because I love it so. So there. They should start paying me. No, just kidding.
I updated mine.
Yay.
Here it is. It's very cold right now. It's Deluge. It's very cold down here. My heater's not apparently doing its
way
job.
over there.
I would turn it on, but I'm afraid
the Syntact is really warm. Like that fucker heats up like crazy. I don't know if it's because of the analog synthesis
some analog
in there or
heat.
something like that. Those little chippies are toasty motherfuckers. So yeah, it's definitely like something that if you get cold at night, you can cuddle up with the Syntact and it will warm you and the cockles of your heart. All right. So speaking of generative Euclidean hi-hats, Wambra, Steinberg has released Nuendo 12.
The last time I was on the show, we talked about Nuendo because I was like, I know that guy Espen Croft uses it, who I'm kind of a fan of, and I was like, does anybody still use this?
That's what
thing?
I was about to say. I'm like, and
then lo and behold,
yeah, Espen Croft uses it. So this one is a clear focus on speech, is what they're saying. A lot of the features and improvements is for dialogue.
So you think it has probably a niche use in that industry, and we're just not aware of it? I'm
guessing so. I don't know. Like a lot of the stuff is just kind of like, okay, like here's stuff you can export projects for Netflix.
Yeah, it's got a lot of, I mean, Cubase, and I think in general Steinberg has quite a bit of adoption in the scoring and sound for picture.
Yeah, I know when Nuendo first came out, I remember it was being used live by a lot of techno guys. Because it was kind of like it was kind of like Cubase, except for it was all audio based,
right?
Instead of MIDI based, and they had found ways to use this in their live setups, so they could kind of improv and do it live. I don't know if that's still the case, But yeah, I think a lot of people work much more with audio, so it's kind of like their Pro Tools killer.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has killed
Yeah.
Pro Tools.
It feels like Steinberg's, because they do have MIDI now for the Innuendo.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it
so-
always had it. You know, it was just, but it was like its emphasis was on audio, whereas
Right.
audio was an add-on for all the DAWs originally. Like, you know, Cubase was around before it handled audio.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Cakewalk.
I just, do you think they're competing with themselves a little here? It's kind of
Well,
weird.
they are now that they're all kind of the same, but you know, it's a different workflow. You can probably recycle a lot of your code, but once you have a customer base, you just got to keep giving them their updates and they keep buying.
Yeah.
So I think it's going for a different market. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's less MIDI based, but I mean you can do probably everything you can do with Nuendo. You can probably do with Cubase, but it's a different workflow. And so often you're buying things just for the workflow.
Yeah, that's true. And familiarity, right? Like, I mean,
Yep. You know, it's like the MPC line isn't the greatest workflow ever, but for the people that are into it, oh, it's the shit,
Mm-hmm.
and they gotta have it, and they're gonna keep buying it until they all die.
well, it's funny. I remember having that conversation with Andrew when you first got to MPC-1, and you were like, the fuck, right? And I'm like, no. This is what it's always been
It's
like.
always been the fuck. And the fuck is
It's always
great.
been what it is, right? And so
Like
it's
some
like,
people really love pattern-based composition because it's what they learned on and what they know. You know, and it's actually what I started on. But once I could go linear, it's like I'm never going back to pattern-based.
Sure.
You know, but some people, that's just the way they think, and they're comfortable with it, and so that's what they want, and they're going to keep buying them. And I think like this Nuendo thing is going to be the same thing. You know, unless unless they roll it into Steinberg Cubase, and they just say, yeah, if you hit this button, it looks like Nuendo, and you hit this button, and it switches you back. You know, otherwise, I think they're going to hold on to it.
It's not cheap. It's $1,000 new.
Yeah, these things are expensive.
Yep.
It's like Pro Tools territory,
Yeah,
right?
that's what you're talking.
But at least it's not subscription-based like Pro Tools is.
Right. So far.
Yeah, fair enough.
I changed with like
Yeah,
Nuendo 13.
I know a lot of people that have kind of dumped Pro Tools because of that.
Yep. Pro Tools at this point really, I don't know. I think it really only kind of exists because of legacy. It's fine. It's good.
Well, that's the thing. There's
It's
people
easy
that
enough
they
to
just
use.
know it, and so that's what they work in, and they don't want to waste time relearning something else because they know
Yeah.
this really well. Like Ken Marshall's still using Pro
Yeah.
Tools.
Sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he just because he's been using it for 30 years.
But back in the 90s and the 2000s, it was early 2000s especially, it was a sign that you were a pro studio. I mean, and it was the universal language of professional studios, so everybody had it.
Absolutely.
And that's just like it's the name kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, back in the 90s, it was, if you had an Avid station, you were like, a pro video producer kind of person.
Yeah.
If you have a Pro Tools
Yeah.
rack, then, that means that you're professional and that adds a certain prestige to your name. And
Yeah.
obviously the modern DAWs have nuked that whole thing.
Well, man, hey, does your studio have the UAD converters? No, then you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, my argument's like, who's going to fucking know?
No
Well,
one.
the artist that wants to load that UAD plugin.
Right. But people, but the end user, the people who are, who are listening to your music, they're not going to sit there and
No,
go,
they're
that's a
not.
UAD converter. I can hear it. I
But
know
I
that
mean,
anywhere. That's a real mini
But
Moog.
that's what. Yeah, but I mean that's why people go to the studio because they have that thing that they can't afford at their place. So they want not only do they want somebody that has the SSL plugin, but more importantly, somebody that knows how to exploit that plugin properly.
Yeah.
You're paying for the staff and their knowledge and their expertise. And
Sure.
but yeah, so I do know that like what gear a studio has, it makes a difference to some
Sure.
clients. Should it? No.
Right.
But does it?
Yeah.
And that's the same people that are going to buy that Colossus.
Yep.
It's going to be a studio that wants to bring in a client that wants to use that thing because they read it was so expensive. Just like there's such a demand for the CS80, and it's not that great a synth.
Yeah.
It's good. It's expressive. But, if you get a CS80, you're still not going to sound like Vangelis.
Right.
Because then, it's like if I get Michelangelo's paintbrush, I can't paint like Michelangelo.
Right.
It's not the brush. And so the CS80, it's great, it's expressive, but there's also a lot it can't do. It's not really the greatest synth ever, but everybody wants it because it used to be the most expensive synth. which has been now
For the-
eclipsed by the Jupiter 8 for mass-produced synths.
For the late 70s, it was a fucking marvel, right? I mean, but yeah, I mean, totally.
But yeah, but it's been eclipsed. I mean, what it still has is it feels great. It's got the polyphonic aftertouch and the ribbon, so it's still very expressive. And don't get me wrong, it sounds good and it feels great, but there's better synths you can get. But the demand for the CS80, just because it used to go for 15 grand, people think, oh wow, it's the greatest.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's just that it was proprietary parts and can't be repaired, so the price went through the roof.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, Vangelis also used, I think, an Arc Odyssey and the Blade Runner soundtrack. I mean,
on Blade Runner, you also use the Roland VP 330.
Right. You can make if you're talented, you can make anything sound good, in my opinion.
And that's
I've actually
if you buy that synth, you're not going to sound like Vangelis. I mean, you can get that preset. You can make that preset in Arturia and play it. And you feel like you're Blade Runner. It's great, but it doesn't make it the greatest synth engine.
No. And sorry, like the reason that Vangelis sounded so good is because Vangelis is better at this than we are. Like, sorry. It turns out he's really good at being a musician.
Yeah, it's Vangelis. It's not the synth.
Yeah.
It's not Michelangelo's paintbrush. It was Michelangelo.
Yeah, my favorite is some of the guitar lunacy. So I'm a big fan of 80s music and a big fan of the Police, and they were selling Andy Summers messed up Telecaster. Have you seen this? I mean, they literally put the scuff marks on it, fucked with the electronics in the same way that he modded it, and sold it for $3,000-$4,000. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah, and they fuck with the polarity on it on the pickups or something. I mean, back in the day, people just hacksawed away at whatever they had to make it sound good. But you're not going to sound like Andy Summers with it. I'm sorry, kids.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the news we've got. We made it through.
We did
all that
was
shit for tonight for the 30th episode. I forgot to mention that. This is the 30th episode of Tangents.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And there's still people that in Commander Root is still with us.
And Cherry Audio still hasn't given us a thing.
I know, right? Neither has Teenage Engineering.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, they can give me
or Behringer.
Well, here, I'll give you all something. In case anybody missed it, there's the 909 samples I made last night on stream. There's a bunch of samples. Please enjoy them.
Oh, thank you.
Those are kind of ratty for what it's worth because I was doing this live on stream, so they're all the same length. The length is too long, but that's what happens when you export 51 samples at once and call them all stems inside Studio One.
It's up to the user to cut them up.
Yeah,
it
so
gives them
it's
something
on
to do.
you. It's on you to shorten those, but they are all normalized, and they do sound good.
Think of them as
So there
paper
you go.
dolls. You
Behringer
have to
gave
cut them
some-
out.
Yeah. There are 51 files. They're just each one's just too long.
Yes. Oh, Womber has a piece of hot news. He got a new piece of kit 2 days ago. And that was he just posted the link, I guess. It is the Wired Heart Cardiotronic Human Touch Hexosolatric Stereo Esoteric Synthespacer.
It's a banana synth.
Is that a real?
It's the kind of thing you would get at a maker fair.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that. I like the little heart. I like that you can connect bananas
Very
to
West
it.
Coast.
I wish it bled more. I like that they call it Wired at Heart. That's cute. And yeah, that's
Well, that's very exciting. Does it have a D-beam controller?
oh, if it only had a D-beam.
It looks like it does.
It might. I see a little. I see you can actually hook.
I
It
think
looks
I
like
see
you can
a
hook up a
console
motion
and an LED.
detector.
I'm telling you, somewhere in Hokkaido is a factory full of D-beams, warehouse full of D-beam controllers. We just need to go and find it.
We do. So yeah, this is the Wired Heart Cardiotronic Human Touch Hexosolatric Stereo Esoteric Synthespacer.
Whew.
Well, tell us about your synth, Womber.
Yeah, so tell us what. The market speak is one thing. What do you think about it? What is it doing for you besides making your heart explode? He calls them fried heart because I'm going to plug in modular voltage and assume I'm going to ruin it. Well, that's fair.
It's up there in naming structure with the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. So
there is that.
It was a cooperation with Astro Chicken.
Modular synth modulate you.
Oh, Astro Chicken's involved. That makes it even better.
No, not Astro Chicken.
Astro Chicken.
Ignore me.
Ignore
That
me.
was a weird one. Well, congratulations on your Syntha Hollow.
Yeah, does it sound like an Atari Plunk module?
I just hit play right now, and
You just say you're talking about the Atari Punk console or whatever.
The Force Nim synth. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost bought one that was someone had taken a something that I'd had as a kid, which was a Darth Vader light switch cover.
I used to have one of those.
And they had turned it into a chassis for one of these.
It kind of sounds like something that Bleep Labs makes. It sounds a bit like the Bleep Bloop. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Bleep Bloop or not.
No. I've heard a lot of Bleep Bloops.
I'm thinking of the thing that Negative Land built.
Let me grab my Bleep Bloop real quick.
And speaking of, Negative Land is touring right now. If you get a chance, you should definitely check out Negative Land. They're such a unique band and brilliant artists. I'm going to miss their show tomorrow in New York, and I wish I could, but I'll be doing my stream instead.
Yeah, I remember bumping into them, gosh, it must have been the late 80s, early 90s. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the Bleep Bloop?
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
I need to replace the
that
battery
thing is-
because it usually has a light, but there's a little light sensor there that makes it do things.
And 60s sci-fi movies.
Andy, that thing is pure sex, man. I love that.
So, Christoph, this thing's all over a Brand New Day.
Awesome.
All like the crazy
Oh, that's what
noises.
that is.
Yeah, that's what that. That's
Yeah.
That's what this is.
That's
This is
fantastic.
what made that.
Which reminds me, if you haven't bought Missile Command's Brand New Day on Bandcamp, you should go buy that. It's one of the best releases of the last 20 years.
Do love Missile Command. Yeah, some great live shows too, Andy.
Oh, thank you. Those were the days back when I was young.
Back when we could be around people.
Yeah. Back when it was okay to use a keytar. And wear a
I'm not sure it was ever okay or it's always okay. It's one of these things like
See, it was okay, but then Justin Timberlake brought sexy back, and then it wasn't
Yeah,
okay.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Prince did browbeat him about that and made a comment of, dude, I've still been sexy. Where the fuck have you been? So I'm sorry. In the big scheme of things, mostly because I've always disliked Justin Timberlake because he has my name and that annoys me. But I'm definitely Team Prince over Team Justin Timberlake. So
yeah. All right, y'all. I think we're done tonight. I got to go to bed. Let's raid over to... Wow, there's not many people on tonight. Looks like we're going over to Purple BTV. Purple BTV. So yeah.
I think that's a first for us.
I think so. I think for this show at least. So unless anybody else knows who we can raid over, I'm going to pop over to Purple BTV. So anyone know Wambra, Robin?
I'm excited.
No? All right. We are off. Thank you all for watching another exciting episode of Tangents. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our post Super Booth wrap up where we will discuss probably the Polyon play.
And our Cherry Audio quiz
And our
results.
Cherry Audio quiz results. So make sure you all take the test and join us as well. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for the great conversation and for being beautiful people. Let's all head over to Purple B. Love you. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Joe.
Good night.